Hi, my name is Billy. If we haven't already met, our pronouns are they or she. And today we're going to move through a Hatha practice. You can go ahead and get set up. We're actually going to dive right in. So you might start standing up today. Often we'll take a resting pose at the beginning as well. Today we're just going to jump right in. So find the position to stand that's comfy. Feet might be close together. Feet might be a little further apart. We're actually going to start by slightly shifting from right to left. Really, really slow, eyes closed. This is a bit of like a moving meditation. Bring your awareness to your feet, the bottoms of your feet. See if you can notice the parts of your feet that are touching the floor and the parts that lift up. So we're using this little shift to bring a lot of awareness to feet. Notice if your toes grip the floor. Notice, say, the arch of your foot is a little lifted, and then we'll find a little bit of stillness. Trying to still notice your feet, but without the movement here. Press into the middle of your heels, and then both sides of your toe mounds. So inside and outside of your feet, right before your toes. Think about that connection to your feet as connecting all the way up to your hips. So your outside and inside edges of your legs are a little engaged as you're pushing the floor away. Knees are not locked, so the fronts of your thighs are slightly engaged here too. Not consistently engaged. You might notice a bit of a shifting. That's okay. Shoulders are right over top of your hips. Sometimes we'll have things like this happen, or hips might be forward. It's okay if you can't really notice that for now, but just think of like bringing awareness to hips. See if you can notice if they're right over top of your feet. And then noticing if shoulders are right over top of your hips. So again, sometimes we're leaning forwards. Very often our shoulders are sort of forwards this way, so they're closer together in the front of your body. Try to imagine shoulders below your ears. That's another part. Sometimes our head is forward. Think about lengthening the back of your neck. So now we have head, shoulders, hips, and knees stacked over top of your feet, just like the song, kind of. So we're in mountain pose. Hands might be a little forwards if that's comfy, so your shoulder blades kind of drop together slightly behind you. Let's do a little bit of movement with our breath here. So one of my favorite ways is our practice. As you inhale, begin to bring your arms overhead. You might slowly turn your gaze up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart in front of you. Think about your exhale as having a bit of a raspy quality to it. Breathe in, bring your hands towards the floor, circle your arms overhead. Exhale, you might breathe out your mouth if that's helpful. Similar raspy quality, really slowing down your exhale, slowing down your movement. Inhale again, go slow, bring your hands towards the floor, circle your arms overhead. Exhale, slow hands to your heart. Pause here, full breath in your nose. Full breath out. A similar movement. Inhale, circle both arms overhead. You might interlace your fingers above your head or bring your hands down onto the top of your head. Noticing if you're doing this, if you're like pushing your head down, see if you can think of a pretty light touch to the top of your head, lengthening the back of your neck. As you exhale, next side bend to the left. So if your hands are on your head, you're kind of pointing your elbow towards the ceiling. Allow your hips to move to the right. Noticing if you're favoring your left foot now. See if you can press into both feet pretty evenly. You might play with bringing your feet a little closer together. Squeeze your legs towards each other. If you have your feet apart, think about similar, pull your feet in towards each other. They don't have to move on your mat, but there's still kind of a pulling towards each other. So now we're extra connected to the muscles on the inside of your legs. Push into your feet. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, side bend to the right, so the opposite direction. You can change up your grip in your hands. You have the opposite pinky forwards. Allow your hips to move to the left. Notice if you're pressing your head forwards, press your head back into your hands, like you're resting your head on your hands. As you inhale, you might lift up a little. Exhale, come a little bit deeper. Nice, push into your feet. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, circle your arms wide. This time, bring your hands behind you as if you're putting your hands into your back pockets, if you had them, or interlace your fingers behind your back. Either one is good. I'm going to separate my feet because I find that more comfortable. Push your feet down into the floor. Squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. Start to lift your chest up towards the ceiling. Your legs are engaged here. Press your feet down into the floor. Check in your knees aren't locked. Engage your glutes, and think about pressing your hips forward slightly. Shoulder blades squeeze towards your spine. If you're interlacing your fingers, kind of reach your knuckles towards the floor. Take your time as you breathe in. Come back to center. Arms might be at your sides. Hands might be on your body. Take a couple of slow breaths. You might do that little shift that we did at the beginning. You might stay in stillness. Circle your arms overhead when you're ready. Breathe in. As you exhale, reach your arms out to a T shape and then bend your elbows. Squeeze your elbows in towards each other. Bring your right arm underneath your left. So I'll show you that again. Right arm underneath your left. You can hold opposite shoulders or twist tie your arms. I don't know how to show you that in other angles. Bend your knees. Bring your right knee over top of left. If you have a block handy, you might have your foot land on the block. You might have your foot tap down onto the floor. One thing I want you to check in with is often we feel, or we've been told, we have to be really upright in this. Notice how it feels if you hinge a little forwards. So you're thinking about having equal length in your back and the front of your body, and also in the sides of your body. Sometimes we'll have like a bit of a side bend or like really arching back or really rounding forwards. See if you can find pretty equal lengthening all the way around. This is called eagle pose. Squeeze your legs and your arms towards each other. As you exhale, you might bend your knees a little bit more. Point your right toes. One more breath like that. Maybe finding that raspy sound again. Step your right foot down beside your left. Inhale, circle both arms overhead. Go slow, really reach up. Exhale, bring your arms to a T shape. If you're taking, like holding opposite shoulders, maybe you move into it from here. Otherwise, bend your elbows first. Squeeze your elbows towards each other. And then we'll bring left arm underneath right. So elbow underneath, maybe twist tying your arms. Bend your knees. I'll turn a little to the side. Left leg over top of right. Potentially using your block again, potentially tapping your toe down. Using around you, whatever's around you for support. Notice what's happening at your hips. So do you want to lean forwards a little bit? How does that feel in your body? How can you find equal space, front, back, and side to side in your body? And space in the back of your neck. Nice. Step your left foot down beside your right. Circle both arms overhead. Big breath in. Arms at your sides. Breathe out. Separate your feet a little bit. Circle both arms overhead. Inhale. As you exhale, we're going to start to twist towards the right. So right arm is moving back, left arm is moving forwards. And instead of looking, let's do this to the side. Instead of trying to look like way back over your right hand, think about kind of looking between your hands equally. Your hips are staying put, so your hips are still pointing forwards so that we're not twisting from knees. And it's just between like hips and shoulders that are primarily doing the twisting. So think about drawing right hip forwards and drawing right shoulder, right rib cage back. Inhale, reach both arms overhead. Exhale, twist to the left, so left arm reaches back, gaze is between your hands. Left hip is still forwards, left rib cage is twisting back. So we're twisting our spine, not in our lower body. Nice. Inhale, reach both arms overhead. We're going to add to this, bring your hands to your heart, bend your knees. Exhale, twist towards the right. So in this case, you can keep your hands here. Might bring your hands to, like one hand to your leg, one hand to your back. We're focusing the twist on happening between your hips and your shoulders. Often, when we come into this pose, we hook our elbow and then twist. But we're wanting to take the same approach. We're twisting with the muscles between hips and shoulders and not pushing ourselves past where we land. So if you twist to the right and you end up here, stay here. Maybe that means your left knee or left elbow is on your left knee. That's great. That's good. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, twist the other way. So towards the left. Notice again, if your head does a lot of the twisting, mine definitely does, think of keeping your head, your gaze kind of over top of your fingers for now. If there is any SI pain happening, you might step the foot you're twisting away from forwards and then allow your hips to move as well. Inhale, come back to center, reach your arms overhead, stretch it out. Exhale, arms at your sides. Bring your shoulders to your ears, breathe in. Together behind you, down your back, breathe out. Might do one the opposite direction, do a couple. I'm just gonna grab a sip of water. So you're wanting to step towards the top of your mat when you are ready to move. Circle both arms overhead as you breathe in. Bend your knees generously, hinge at your hips as you breathe out. Lift about halfway, inhale. Exhale, bring your fingertips down towards the floor. Step your right foot back, fairly big step. Toes are on the floor, heels lifted. Left foot's gonna scooch heel toe to the left side. And then reach your arms parallel to your body as you exhale. So your right leg and your torso are leaning forwards. They're kind of in a long line. Notice if your right heel is still pretty close to the floor, think about drawing it right over top of your toes. Sometimes we set up pretty narrow. Might move your foot a little to the back foot, a little bit further out. As you inhale, reach both arms overhead. Option to add a little back bend by lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. Next, exhale, open your arms, warrior two. So your right toes are gonna point to the side. Left toes are still pointing forwards. Left knee is bent. Arms are reaching kind of over top of your legs, but it doesn't have to be exact. It might be a little bit twisted, or I guess you might say misaligned, but it's not actually the case. Like your left hand might be a little bit further to the right or to the left. Press into your front heel. When you're bending into your front knee, press your left knee towards the left side. Outer right foot's pressing down into the ground. Pivot your palms, thumbs are up, left hand down, right hand up. So this is a version of triangle with your left knee bent. If you'd like to take the straight-legged variation, reach your left hand forwards first, straighten your left leg, and then left hand down, right hand up from there. You do not have to look up towards the ceiling. You might be looking down. You might be looking forwards. Choose the option that feels best in your neck. Push into your feet. Inhale, come back to warrior two. Stay here, left knee bent. Reach your left hand up towards the ceiling. It's called exalted warrior. Right hand might kind of come to let rest on your back leg. Come back to warrior two, exhale, so arms are parallel to the floor. Gaze might be over your left fingertips. Bring your left hand down to the top of your mat, right hand down to the top of your mat. Rock your weight back, so big bend in your right leg, step your right foot forwards. Find length in your spine, breathe in. Exhale, tap your fingertips down, step your left foot back. Pretty big step back, toes are on the floor, heel is lifted. When you exhale, lift your torso up, arms reach alongside your body. So you're looking for that same long line. Press your left leg up, a little bit like you're expecting something to press down on the back of your leg, or like, I don't know if you have a cat or a dog, like you're kind of bracing for a little bit of a push, like a jump onto the back of your leg if you're a visual person. Think about pulling your feet, your inner thighs towards each other slightly, not a huge thing, but a very slight engaging of the inner edges of both legs. Inhale, circle both arms overhead. Option to add another back bend, so opening up the front of your chest, maybe bending your elbows, lifting your gaze up. And then next exhale, warrior two. So your left heel pivots down, arms might be parallel to the floor-ish. Always welcome to bring hands to heart. Press the right leg towards the right side of your mat. Head over top of shoulders, over top of hips. So notice if you're leaning forwards, if your head is forwards. Try to find a bit of mountain pose in the upper half of your body. Pivot your palms, so thumbs up, right hand down, left hand up for the bent knee variation, or straighten your leg, slide your right hand forwards, and then tip left hand down, right hand up. Gaze anywhere that feels good. Slow breath in and out your nose. Push into your feet. Inhale back up to warrior two, so your right knee is bent. Keep your right knee bent. Start to reach your right arm towards the ceiling. Left arm reaches towards the floor or towards your left leg. Press into your feet. Come back up to warrior two. Bring your right hand and left hand to the top of your mat. Big bend in your back leg. Step your left foot forwards and then separate your feet as much as comfortable. So you're coming into a forward fold. Some folks feels better to have your feet a little further apart, maybe even pointing your toes out so that your knees are pointing out to give a little bit of space. We'll move into a forward fold. I'm gonna give you a few options. If you already know a forward fold you love, go ahead and take that. If you have a block around you or pillows or even a chair, you might grab that, rest your hands or elbows on the chair. Bring a little bit, like lean a little bit forwards. So you're kind of favoring your toes. And let your spine round. Maybe let your head be heavy. If you'd like to move a little bit, I'll give you that option here too. So as you breathe in, think about lengthening the top of your head and your tailbone away from each other. As you exhale, think about drawing your chest towards the middle of your feet. So inhale, find length in your spine. Exhale, keep that length and draw towards the space between your feet. And then if you'd like to go passive, you can let your head be heavy, spine round, maybe holding opposite elbows. There's lots of other options here too for movement. You might do a little sway. I won't do it because the headphones might fall off, but a little bit of sway, shaking your head out. Let's take another 2 breaths, just giving you space. I'm going to take a little water again, a little space to do what feels best for you. And then when you're ready, begin to make your way back up to standing. So you might walk your hands up your legs. You might bring your hands right above your knees and then come up. We're just going to do one more standing posture. It's going to be a balancing posture. So if you're feeling a little bit tippy, you might move near a wall so you can have one hand on the wall. Now favor your left foot. So pressing again to the middle of your heel, both sides of your toe mounds. Begin to sort of lift off of your right foot, point your right knee towards the right side. And then you can stay here, maybe prop your knee or your heel, onto your left leg or step your foot onto leg anywhere. Hands might move to heart. They might reach down to the floor or up towards the ceiling. Notice if you're locking your left knee, your standing leg. And think about engaging the front of your left thigh to push the floor away. You're pressing left leg into right foot back into left leg, but just checking in that you're not pushing onto your knee, especially if your knee is locked. If you feel really like playing with balance, you might close your eyes. Breathe really slow in and out your nose. Hands to your hips. Right knee forwards, right foot down. Favor your right foot, press into the middle of your heel, both sides of your toe mounds. Begin to lift off of your left foot, point your left knee to the side. So you're doing that rotation at your left hip. And then prop your heel or step your foot onto your left leg and take your favorite arm variation. Or just play around and take whichever arm variation you want. Just begin to bring your hands back to your hips. Bring your left knee forwards, left foot down. Arms at your sides. I'm going to do a couple poses on your belly, if that's comfy. So kind of step towards the top of your mat. Inhale, circle both arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at your hips, bend in your knees. Find some space in your spine as you breathe in. And then exhale, you can step to a tabletop, or maybe you step into a plank and you slowly lower that way. If you're stepping into a tabletop, you can scooch both knees towards the back of your mat and either slowly lower down or just do like a roll down. Hands on either side of your low ribs. Push the tops of your feet down into the floor so your legs engage, glutes engage. Peel your chest up off the floor without using your hands. Gaze is down, so the back of your neck is long. Push your feet down. Squeeze your shoulder blades to spine. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale, come back down. You can rest your forehead at center. We're going to do one more like that in a moment, though. Right, bring your hands back to either side of your low ribs. Push your feet down. Inhale, peel your chest up. This is called baby cobra. You can stay like this if you want, or lift your feet as well. Point your toes, and then squeeze your feet towards each other like you're trying to squeeze like a beach ball or a pillow between your feet. Shoulder blades squeeze to spine, glutes press down into the floor. You might even reach your hands towards your feet. Take 2 more breaths. And come back down, take your time, press your hands into the floor, press back through a tabletop to child's pose. So knees can be like mat width apart, toes together. You can rest your forehead on your hands, on a block. You might have a block underneath your chest. Lots of options. Play around a little bit. Choose one that feels good in your body. Take a couple of slower breaths here. So you're always welcome in my practices, of course, to take different variations of postures, skip postures, to take space, do what you need to do. And doing that, like making those decisions to do a different posture or skip one, doesn't mean you didn't do the practice. It doesn't mean the practice isn't valid. There is no one way that this practice should look, ever. Even if you take it the same practice again tomorrow, it's going to look different day to day, person to person. So see if you do have anything like that, shoulds come up, see if you can bring your awareness to it and imagine throwing it out the window. Or just reminding yourself that your practice is valid, whatever it looks like. Just make your way to your back so you can really slowly come up to tabletop and then make your way over to your back. You might, roll to your belly and roll over, whatever works for you. When you're there, you're going to bend your knees. One thing you might do first is do a little rock side to side, kind of massaging out the muscles in your back. Might even roll like the length of your spine. Bring your feet down onto the floor when you're ready. Arms alongside your body. Push your feet down into the floor. Lift your hips up. This is bridge pose. You might scoot your shoulder blades closer together behind you and then interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your inner thighs towards each other. Push your feet down into the floor. Lift your hips. Your glutes are some of the primary movers here. So use your glutes, lift your hips. Take 2 more breaths here. really slow. Bring your hips back down to the floor. Separate your feet about mat width apart with your knees bent, and tip your knees side to side. So all the way to one side and then all the way to the other. Nice. Once you've done about an even number both sides, bring your feet a little closer together. Bring your right ankle to left knee. So I have my ankle bone kind of in the middle. I'm not directly on my knee, I'm actually just above. You can stay here, keep flexing your right foot, or bring your legs towards you. You can always reach and hold the back of your left thigh. Another option I particularly love is tip this shape to the left. So your right knee is pointing towards the ceiling, and your shape in your legs is essentially the same. Arms might reach out if that's comfy. And breath is slow in and out your nose. If your brain has gone off to think of other things, you can do your best to bring your focus back each time. Bring your left knee up towards the ceiling. If you're in the twisted variation, set your right foot down. Then bring your left ankle to right knee, so just above knee. Option to bring your legs towards you, maybe hold the back of your right thigh. Or tip this shape to the right. So your outer edge of your right leg is on the floor, left knee is pointing towards the ceiling. You can also always place a pillow underneath your knee if this feels like it's too much of a stretch as well. Bring your knees back up towards the ceiling. Set both of your feet down onto the floor. Scoot your hips to the left. Lift your shins up parallel to the floor. And tip this shape all the way over to the right. So it's quite similar to the pose we were just in, but it's a twist more so for your spine. Might look towards the left. If earlier in the practice when we were doing the twist standing up, you found it's like, if you found a tendency to look all the way to the side and anything came up for you, bring anything you learned there. So for instance, if you noticed you were looking really far to the side, but it hurt in your neck, here you might not turn your gaze to the left. You might keep your gaze up. Take a slow breath in your nose. As you exhale, think of bracing in your core. Slowly lift your knees back up. So we're using some abdominal muscles to do that. Set your feet down. Scoot your hips to center first. And then scoot your hips to the right. Lift your shins parallel to the floor. Tip all the way over to the left. Similar to the last posture, you can use a pillow underneath both knees or underneath right knee to decrease the sensation of the twist. As you exhale, think of bracing in your core and really slowly lift your knees back up. Set both feet down. Bring your hips to center. You can either move right into your final resting pose, or you might bring the bottoms of your feet to touch first. Knees move apart. Hands might be on your body or at your sides. And if you are ready to move into your final resting pose, you might lay down on your back. If it's not comfortable or feels vulnerable, you can always lay on your side or your belly. Kind of give yourself permission to use whatever you have around you too. If you want to use blankets, if you want to use pillows, like get super comfy. If you're taking cobbler's pose first, stay there however long you want to, and then slowly transition to your resting pose when you're ready. Do a little scan of your body, taking kind of an inventory of anywhere that feels tense, anywhere that's gripping, and anything that's coming up in your thoughts, anything happening in your brain. Noticing any like judgment of your practice, if there's any comparison of what you thought your practice should look like compared to what it did look like. Reminding yourself that there is no should here. What is most important is how it felt for you, how it feels in your body. And that the actual practice of yoga is not just physical practice. Physical practice is like 1/8, if that, of the practice of what yoga is and what yoga means. So take slow breaths, finding that stillness in your body and in your thoughts. Allowing any fidget to happen if you need to, but slow it down, like slow motion fidgeting. Soften your jaw. Let your tongue rest at the roof of your mouth. Take another slow breath in your nose. Maybe this time you sigh out your mouth or sigh out your nose. If you're not ready to move yet, you do not need to. You can stay here. If you are ready to move, I'll just suggest you go super slow, thinking of this transition out of practice as like posture in itself. I hope you have a fantastic day, that this piece you may have created here kind of trickles into the rest of your day and the rest of your week. I hope you have the best day ever. You can reach out via email if you have any questions at all, and take care. Bye.